You can't see, but I'm a glamour don't because I'm wearing white pants after Labor Day. Hey Booktube, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March, and this is my bookish week for Sunday, September 21st. I think that's it. It's early. I'm filming a little late. Normally I film on Saturday. This morning I'm filming on Sunday morning. I don't know what time it is. I lost track. So I just got cleaned up. I just dressed, not fed yet. I'm a little out of it. But hey, I'm here, right? So I'm going to talk to you about the books I finished last week, books I'm currently reading, and some upcoming books. So let's get going. I finished 3 books last week. The first one is Death Comes for the Archbishop by Willa Cather. And I read this with Britta. This was a reread for me. And the first time I read it, I really loved it, and I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. This time, it was a 5-star read for me. I was so happy that my rating bumped up. And the reason for that is the first time I read it, I wasn't sure what to expect. And when I read it the first time, I think I was in a place where I was expecting more of a story and more of a plot, and that's not what this book is. This book is the story of 2 young seminarians who become priests, 2 young French gentlemen, and they are assigned to the, not the wilderness, but they are assigned to the empty, bleak, indigenous landscape of the American Southwest in New Mexico. And their job is to bring Catholicism to the indigenous people and to the Mexican communities. If you go by that, it sounds like they're going to be missionaries, which they are. They're going to colonialize the area, which inherently they are. It makes it sound like they are going there to coerce people into accepting a religion that is not theirs. And in that respect, you as a reader would be wrong. As a sign of the times, there is colonialism, and there is 2 religious men going to proselytize and to hopefully convert some people in this, as of yet unknown, wild part of the United States. And so they're totally foreign. They're Frenchmen, French religious men, going to New Mexico. But once they get there, they start to meet and get to know so many of the Mexican community, the indigenous community. They really observe the people around them. They really observe the traditional communities. They get to know people personally and intimately. They get to see traditional beliefs, and they get to see how strongly these people hold their traditional beliefs. And there are people that embrace their religion. There are people that embrace Catholicism. And there are people who pull these 2 men in as their family, and they're good friends. And Cather basically writes for us not the story, not a plot, but the story of these 2 men's lives separately and most importantly together. They end up staying there for their whole careers. They do some traveling. They do some traveling around this country. They do go back to Europe once or twice, I think. But ultimately, it's a book about friendship and family and faith. The strength of Cather is in her writing about the landscape and the surroundings and the environment. It is simply gorgeous in every single book of hers that I've read. Her knowledge of how to write setting and how to describe anything from a desert to a forest to a tree to a sky to a horse or a donkey. It's just fantastic. And this book is a very quiet, what's the word? I say quiet about certain books a lot, and I love those types of books. But this is a quiet narrative, a smooth, even tempered, beautiful story about these 2 men's love for each other and their eventual love for the communities that they are living in. So it's a beautiful book. There's so many. I marked so many pages. This one, I'm going to read this one paragraph. This is the story of the bishop, the archbishop, Jean Vallant. And he is getting jaded. He's losing the passion for his faith. And he is at the church, and he opens the door, and there's an older poor woman who he knows to be a servant in an American couple's home, and they are treating her badly. They abuse her. She's kept in abject poverty. She doesn't have clothing for the weather. She doesn't have shoes. She has nothing, but she is in the church praying. And the archbishop sees her, and he accompanies her. He takes her by the hand, and he brings her to the altar, and he prays with her. And he starts to feel something about his faith. He starts to feel something about his beliefs. And this is the paragraph. He's given her a cross to hide, to wear and to hide under her clothes, because her employers, her captors won't give her anything, won't let her own anything. So it's something that she can have for herself to express her faith, but to hide from them. And he has accompanied her out of the church. And this is what it says. He fitted the great key into its lock. The door swung slowly back on its wooden hinges. The peace without seemed all one with the peace in his own soul. The snow had stopped. The gauzy clouds that had ribbed the arch of heaven were now all sunk into one soft white fog bank over the Sangre de Cristo mountains. The full moon shone high in the blue vault, majestic, lonely, benign. The bishop stood in the doorway of his church, lost in thought, looking at the line of black footprints his departing visitor had left in the wet scurf of snow. It's so beautiful. All right, the second book I finished is Worlds of Wonder by Amy Neshukamatadl. I practiced over and over again. I loved this book. At first you think this is a book about nature writing, and it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. It's a book about different types of animals around the world, and many of whom Amy has studied, has written about, has taught about. But this is a memoir combined with animal studies, and it's so unique. It is so unique, and Neshukamatadl is also a poet, and the writing is absolutely beautiful. She talks about a lot of different types of animals, what they've meant to her, and how they connect with the stages of her life, whether it's childhood or young adulthood, marriage, parenthood, her parents retiring and getting older, moving around the country. And she talks a lot about animals from her father's home country of India, her mother's country of the Philippines. It is so beautiful and so rich in language because her gift of poetry comes through the writing, whether it's the memoir part or the descriptions of the animals that she wants to connect. And I was so impressed by this book that I have a couple of books of her poetry in my cart because I just loved it. And there's illustrations throughout. Let's find one. This is a vampire squid. And these chapters are fairly short, and there's a picture of the animal that connects with the chapter in the front. These are ribbon eels. I'll show you one more. Let's find a good one. Let's find it. Oh, this is a really pretty one. This is a full page picture. And there are some of these as well. Black and white. It's such a beautiful book. It's very short. It was appropriate for Shorty September. But I highly recommend this one. You don't have to be a fan of nature writing or science writing or animal writing, but it just adds so much to her words that I just loved it. So good. This book was a complete surprise to me. I listened to this on audio, but then I knew I wanted to have a copy, so I bought a physical copy. And when it came in, I was so thrilled because it is such a pretty book. This is a cozy fantasy novel that I found on audiobook, and I started listening to because I just wanted something sweet and fun and nice. And I thought, I'm going to try fiction again on audio because fiction does not always work for me on audio. I lose tracks too much. But this is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst, and this is the physical copy with purple edges. I could not pass this up. I wanted this physical copy so much, and it came in and I was just absolutely thrilled. I don't know if you can see this, but right here is a cat with green wings. It's so cute. This is a cozy fantasy book, and this is the story of Keela, who is a magical librarian, and her companion is a sentient talking spider plant named Kaz. They are curating books at the library in Elysium, I think it's called. I think that's how you pronounce Elysium, yeah. They are curating magical books at this magical library of the city of Elysium, and the city gets taken over by revolutionaries, and the library is burned to the ground. They have to somehow figure out how to escape. And Keela wants to take as many books as she can grab. So they end up able only to take 5 crates of books on a ship, where they sail away as the library is burning to Keela's childhood home. And it is an island called... Oh, I wish I could get the name. I can't find the name. It is an island. Let me see. Caltray. It's an island of Caltray, where Keela grew up with her parents, who have since gone, and they are deceased. And they sail to the island, and she is trying to find her childhood home. They manage to land at the island. They manage to get all of the crates of books off the boat, and she finds this cottage in the forest, which is where she grew up. It is run down and taken over by dust and dirt and animals and plants. She and her spider plant friend Kaz clean it up, and she immediately falls asleep in fear and exhaustion. Then the magic starts to happen. It is a story of love and found family and friendship, hidden secrets. It is magical, not just in the characters in the story, but just the feeling it gave me as I was reading it. She eventually realizes she doesn't have any money. How is she going to stay on the island of Caltray? How is she going to buy food? How is she going to buy the things that she needs? I have an itchy nose that I might sneeze. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me. So she has to figure out what she's going to do to survive. And then she goes in town to a bakery that is run by a magical creature named Bryn, who becomes one of her best friends. And Bryn gives her something delicious to eat, and she starts to think, what is it can I do? And I don't remember how it came to her, but she realizes that she can make jam because she finds berry bushes in her yard, on her land in the forest, and she realizes I can make a batch of jam. So she does that, and she brings it to Bryn, and it's a big hit. But then she realizes, where am I going to get more berries? Well, she's magical. And there is love in the story. There is a magical person creature named Lauren, and they become instant friends. He is a lifelong resident of Caltray. And it just, plot ensues from there. She is hiding some things, and she's afraid of being discovered. So there's a lot of hiding and disguising and magic and characters, and it's just so sweet. It was so sweet and fun and well characterized, well plotted. The pacing was excellent. I just had so much fun. I loved my reading experience with this book, and I am so happy to have this beautiful little copy. Those are the 3 books I finished, and I am currently reading 2 books. I'm going to be done with one, I'm hoping today. So that one is my physical book. I also am reading an audiobook, which is called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, and the subtitle is How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. This is a book on, you guessed it, children and cell phones and the wired generation. So far, so good. I'm probably about a quarter of the way through, so if I listen to it in fast enough speed, I'll have my wrap up on that book this coming Bookish weekend. The other book I am reading is Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. This was one of my Shorty September books, and I have read several of John Steinbeck's other novels, and this is the other one I had on my shelf that I haven't read. So I am almost, I think I'm about a third of the way through. I will also wrap this one up in my next Bookish week. Now, I have a couple of books I wanted to show you that I will be reading. I have 2 buddy reads, and then I have another book that is a group read, and there will be another one that I forgot to grab, but I wanted to grab this one specifically because I asked myself, what the hell am I doing? What am I thinking? I finished A Court of Thorns and Roses with the banned book reading group a week or so ago, and I didn't give it that high of a rating, but the reading experience I thought was a blast, and it had a lot to do with my buddy readers and group readers. And since I finished that book, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, I haven't stopped thinking about it, and I haven't stopped thinking about the story. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to continue. Reading the first book was plenty. It was good enough for me. So what in the world am I thinking? Picking up A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, the number 2 book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. Who am I? Who am I? And it's a lot bigger than the last one. Who am I? I'm a woman who couldn't stop thinking about A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I keep thinking about the characters. I wonder what they're doing. Where are they now? Did they get out of that sticky situation? And I bought this one that I'm going to read. I don't know if I'm going to keep the same schedule as the group. I'd like to, but I might not be able to wait that long. So we'll see. We'll see when I get to that one. Oh my gosh, we'll see. I as a sucker, I will probably read the whole series. Now, in October's coming fast, and October is Victober. But before that, I have a buddy read scheduled with a friend of mine, a reader, a commenter, a subscriber to many of our channels. It is George, and we are reading Steinbeck's East of Eden. I am rereading it. This is a beloved American classic for me. I am rereading it with George and really, really looking forward to it. He is a wonderful friend and buddy reader, and I can't wait to revisit my beloved classic with him. And a book I am reading for Victober with my friends Britta and Heidi. We are going to be reading Thackeray's Vanity Fair, William Makepeace Thackeray. I am dying to read this. I have had this for a while. This is a chunker, a clunker, and lots of notes in the back. This is, like in the 800 page range. But Britta and Heidi and I are going to be reading this book for Victober, and I cannot wait. That is it for me. That is it for my Bookish Week for this week. Let me know in the comments below what you think of any of the books I showed you, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.